Hey, how's it going everyone? I hope that you guys are all having an amazing day. This video is a special one because we are going to be figuring out something that is long overdue, which is how exactly to get a consistent amount of ant eggs in Grounded. If this video helps you out at all, then help me out by hitting that like button. Also, we actually streamed this entire contraption which makes egg farming possible live on Twitch, and if you don't want to miss out on whatever the next project will be, then be sure to go and drop the channel a follow. But let's go ahead and cut this plug and get right into it. So let's just quickly talk about what the problem is with ant eggs before we get into how exactly I went about solving it. Essentially, the problem is that the ant eggs only spawn under certain conditions. I don't think that the developers have specified these conditions yet, but from what the community has figured out is that the ant eggs only spawn if you are killing a certain number of ants around the map. It is also assumed that the worker ants need to bring food into the anthill in order for the ant eggs to spawn, though I'm not entirely convinced of that, and we will talk about that a little bit later. But the main problem with these conditions is that even when you are killing a lot of the ants around the map or in the hill, the eggs still sparsely spawn. And if you are playing on a solo woe mode like I am, then it is not entirely easy by any means to go and wipe out a whole ton of these ants effectively, which is exactly what brought me to the idea of the Ant Poker 5000. This monster of a trap surely will be enough to slaughter enough of these ants and slaughter them on a consistent enough basis that these eggs will start to spawn. That was at least my theory going into this project on stream, and I very much so underestimated the amount of resources that this was going to take to pull off. With well over 50 spike traps, this monstrosity took 3 hours to build, even with me already having a good chunk of the resources. I am here to show you guys how to get an insane amount of ant eggs, not here to bore you with the long building process that this was. So bam! Within a blink of your eye, I have completed this build, and as you can see, it is doing exactly what I want it to do, which is poke these ants. So the trap is finally up and running, which is great, but is it producing any eggs? Well, this brings me into part 2 of the conditions that is needed to be met, which is the food. Now, previously what would happen is these ants would be collecting food from all around the map. Then they would bring this food back to their anthill and drop it in this hole. There was one time that I came down here and I picked up at least 7 acorn bits, and there were also a bunch of bug bits and whatever else that these ants pick up down in this hole. But this does not seem to be the case anymore, because ever since they added in this mint down here, I have just not seen any food brought by these ants. Just to play it safe though, in case this is a condition, I did drop some acorn bits in this hole, as well as placed a stack of mushrooms and some acorn bits at the entrance just to see if the ants would end up picking up any of the mushrooms, because the problem with my trap is that it only provides a very small path for the ants to get in and out of their anthill safely. So with some food in the anthill and the ants constantly being poked violently, it was time to go and check out this anthill for some eggs.
Let's go take a look. We killed like 15 of them in the beginning, and this one just absolutely refuses to go all the way to the top. Oh, are they gonna go? Nope. That one went. Oh, we found a way out. Oh, that one didn't. Yeah, killing them really effectively. Let's go see if we spawned any eggs. That was the whole reason for this. Hopefully get some eggs spawning down here on a regular basis without me having to come down here. Got an egg. I've never found one right there.
This was actually crazy because this is the first time that I have ever seen ant eggs spawn in this spot, and this is not the only new spot that I have seen these ants lay eggs since I have put down my trap. just wait, because it gets to the point where we are pulling 7 or more eggs out of the hill per trip, which is 100,000 times better than pulling only 2 eggs on a rare occasion. But just to make sure this was not just a random fluke, and to make sure that this was going to be something that was happening consistently, I came back the next day and again I found some eggs, and the next day and the next. I do want to point out that these ants were not eating the mushrooms or the acorn bits that I dropped on the floor in the entrance, and also none of the acorn bits that I dropped in the hole were disappearing, and these ant eggs were still popping up. What I had assumed would happen if they were requiring food is that, like, let's say per 3 ant eggs that spawned, there would be 1 acorn bit or something that was missing, but that just was not the case as far as I can tell. And you can see right here as I'm running out of the cave for one of the last times before I decided to make this video, some of these ant eggs spawned in another location that I have honestly never seen these ant eggs spawn before. This is actually crazy, and I do want to point out that this kind of needs to be monitored when you're going to go and farm these ant eggs, because there was one day that I went down here to go get some ant eggs and there was only a few, but on my way into the ant hill there was literally like 20 worker ants and 5 or more soldier ants all working their way out of the hill. So I assume that I had like just missed the hatching of those eggs, which is something that you got to keep an eye out for. I believe they also hatch in your inventory now, but don't quote me on that because I have not had one hatch in my inventory yet. But finally we have something set up which is going to make it possible to stack up a lot of these ant eggs for these ant bombs. Let me know down in the comments if you guys have figured out any ways to get consistent ant eggs. Also, let me know if this trap is something that you guys have set up already, or if this is going to be something that you're going to try out. And in all honesty, I may have gone slightly overboard with the amount of traps that I laid. They don't even technically hit half of them. But that is all of the information that I have for you guys in this video. I hope you all have an amazing day. I'm out.